Hello students, so far we have done part 4 explanation of the chapter Poests in Pancakes by Ashok and today we'll be having the resumption of the chapter. I also just sent some important questions of that particular chapter yesterday. Okay, you might have got those stuff and you might have noted down those questions with answer in your fake copy. Let us start the resumption of the chapter where we left it from. So far we have made the exposition that the character of Subbu obviously was a high-pitched spot of the place Gemini Studio. He was a part and parcel of the place or the company or the production company Gemini Studio. He was number 2 at Gemini Studio. He had the ability to look cheerful all the time. He was very much loyal, very much faithful to his principal, to his boss, S.S. Vasan. He gave a new direction and definition to Gemini Studio. His home was a permanent shelter, for many of his acquaintances, kids and kins there who visited Chennai in those days there. He was an improvident soul, a great host. He was a great poet. He was means filmmaking was very easy, too easy, having Subbu around you. He was tailor-made, he was suitable, he was congenial, he was conducive for making films there. So a lot more qualities will be discussed in the coming paragraph. But so far whatever we had done, you got to make a pen picture of Ashok Mitran's chapter. Obviously that is Poem in Pancakes, and the main character obviously is Kotmangalam. Subbu. Kotmangalam is a place it belonged to. So let us start the journey ahead of it. Now MRA has recently visited Gemini Studio, and it was you must have a small note on MRA also, that MRA was a type of international circus. It was a counter movement to communism, obviously, though they are called in the chapter a type of international circus, but they were not good at trapeze. Trapeze, I already mentioned, a metal bar, a horizontal bar attached with a rope that swings from one place to another, performed by some acrobats in the circus, and their knowledge for about animals was limited to dining table. It means they knew nothing about animals. Their knowledge was very much little about animals. They knew about animals hardly anything. This is the meaning of what can say the knowledge regarding animals was up to dining table. It also means that they knew nothing. They knew only one thing: how to eat the non-vegetarian stuff, how to eat the meat of those animals. Their knowledge about animals regarding their species, what species they belong to, how they can be utilized in in circus. They knew nothing about that. They knew only one thing: how to eat the meat of those animals there. They performed the majestic plays, dramas there. One was Jotham Valley and the second one was Forgotten Factor. And the impact of these two plays on Gemini Studio fraternity community was obviously exemplary, absolutely exemplary, very much indelible, very much what you can say impactful. Its impact was there. Everyone was highly influenced in Gemini Studio by those two terrific plays. Jotham Valley, and Forgotten Factor. Jotham Valley especially, the bear stage, a constant tune of the flute was played at the back of it, and great scenario of the sunset and the sunrise there. Obviously that were the key components of Jotham Valley. And after the departure of Jotham, that MRA, Moral Rearmament Army by Frank Bookman, even we could see the great influence of Jotham Valley on the plays or the dramas performed by Gemini Studio people after the departure of MRA. Now MRA had got the journey done there at Gemini Studio, and now a new guest was about to arrive. Who was he? Okay, let's check it out there. Okay, office boy in the makeup department. A few months later, the telephone lines of the big bosses of Madras buzzed again, and once again we at Gemini Studio cleared a whole shooting stage to welcome another visitor. And now MRA had departed from Gemini Studio, and the new guest was about to commence, about to arrive. And nobody knew in Gemini Studio who was the person coming. Obviously, S.S. Vasan, the director, the owner, the founder of Gemini Studio must be knowing who the person coming, who the poet coming. But when we talk about the ordinary staff, they had got no idea. But they clear all the stage and all the decoration of their own product movies or their own plays or the dramas, so that a new poet can utilize, can use that stage there. Who the person coming? Check it out there. Once again, we at Gemini Studio, he was a poet. The first thing you got to remember that the person who was coming, he was a poet from England, and obviously poets must not be welcome at a place where the people are indulged in producing or in producing a movie, but still there may be some connection further than that also. Therefore, a poet was making his way to Gemini Studio after MR had departed. He was a poet from England. The only poets from England the simple Gemini Studio staff knew or heard of were Wordsworth, William Wordsworth, and Tennyson, A.L. Tennyson. Wordsworth and Tennyson you must be aware of in 9th or 10th class. You might have studied by Tennyson, The Brook, and that is the single solitary reaper by William Wordsworth. So you see, they were the commoners, people at Gemini Studio. They were not literary. They were not literary figure. They didn't have any sort of test for literature. They were not scholars. They were not intellectual. They were the commoners. So few people at Gemini Studio might have heard about William Wordsworth or A.L. Tennyson, but the person who was coming, the poet who was coming, they had got no idea about him. England, for the simple time, the more literary, more knowledgeable people, literary, more knowledgeable people, literary, educated people, literary, educated, more literate, ones knew of Keats, John Keats, who wrote A Thing of Beauty, for you people in 12th class, which is the part of poetry section. So John Keats they may hear of that William Wordsworth, they might have heard A.L. Tennyson, they must be knowing something about. But the person, the poet who was coming, they had got no idea about that. Poets of William Wordsworth, Shelley, obviously P.B. Shelley, and Byron, John Byron, they might have heard. And one or two might have faintly, slightly, lightly, come to know of someone by the name, Eliot, T.S. Eliot there. So, first of all, Gemini studio members or the staff members, they were commoners, common people, common masses, common commoners they were, so they had got no test for literature. Therefore, they didn't know anything about the literary figures there. But you see, because those P.B. Shelley, John Keats, William Wordsworth, they were the notable figure, remarkable figure. They were the spearhead of the English literature. So they might have heard about these two famous or three famous poets. But apart from that, besides than that, they had got no idea about that. Who was coming? One by the name Eliot, who was the poet visiting the Gemini Studio now. So, no T.S. Eliot, neither William Wordsworth, nor P.B. Shelley. Then, who the person was coming? That was the question. That was an alarming question there. What is it? The question which was pestering the people of Gemini Studio, the staff members, who the person was coming. They were very much desperate to know about that. Who the person coming? He is not a poet, he is an editor. That's why the boss is giving him a big reception, a warm welcome. Vasan, S.S. Vasan, also the editor of the popular Tamil weekly Anand Viketan. So the first assumption of Gemini Studio members was that the poet who was coming, the person who was coming was a poet. further, after some time, later on they came to know he was a multifaceted person who was coming, not only a poet, but mainly, chiefly, he was an editor. And their boss, S.S. Vasan himself, was an editor of a famous Tamil weekly, Anand Viketan. So editor, S.S. Vasan, the honor was, and the person who was coming too was an editor. So that was usually, maybe they hoped so, they expected, they assumed, they made a surmise that may be the link for which, that may be the reason for which S.S. Vasan was all set to give a warm welcome, a great reception, okay, to the person, to the celebrity, to the poet, to the editor who was making his way to Gemini Studio after MRA had departed. Gemini Studio, editor of the famous one, and Vasan was the only editor of the popular, that was over. He wasn't the editor of any of the known names of the British publication in Madras. This is, those known the Gemini Studio there. The surmise was that the poet surmise, idea, assumption, speculation, suspect. Okay. Now the person who was coming was not an editor of what you can say the great magazine or the great journal. But he was an editor. That was true. That was true. He wasn't the editor of any of the known names of the British publication in Madras. In Madras also, there were several publications, okay, from England, copies, those great magazine or the publications or the journals can be found in Madras. Because in Madras also, many of the people were intellectuals or the literary people, the people have got acute interest in literature. So they too had the copies of various publications at their home, in the library, in their according to their own interest. But the person or the poet or the editor who was coming, the person was not a renowned, a famous editor. Okay. Copies of the other renowned British publications were available in Madras for the people of Madras, for the literary interested people of the Madras, for the intellectuals of Madras, but scholars of Madras. But that editor who was coming now, his publications, any copy, any journal, any magazine, okay, not a single copy, okay, was available in Madras. Then who the person? The surmise, the speculation, the assumption. The surmise of that the poet was of editor of a daily, but not from the Manchester Guardian, the famous magazine from England, the famous weekly from England, the Manchester Guardian, or the London Times, the famous newspaper of the UK or the United Kingdom, that is London Times there. So neither he was an editor of London Times or the Manchester Guardian. He may be an editor. The person who was coming, the guest, new guest at Gemini Studio, may be an editor, but of an an ordinary magazine, an ordinary journal. That was all that even the most London Times. That was all that even the most well informed among us knew there. So those people at Gemini Studio who had got some interest, some sort of knowledge about the British publication. So they have heard. Only few British magazine. One was Manchester Guardian and the second one was the London Times there. Apart from that, beyond that, okay, they had got no idea about. At last, around 4 in the afternoon, the poet for the editor arrived. He was a tall man. Now the description of the new guest at Gemini Studio is given here. MRA had gone and now coming for Gemini Studio to give a huge reception, a great welcome, okay, to the person who was coming next, who was an editor from England, come poet also, and what type of physical stature he has got, check it out. He was a tall man, the person who came, very English he was, means his pronunciation, very English. He was from England, so he must be an English fellow. But very English, his articulation, his modulation, his pronunciation of speaking English was really exemplary, indomitable, very professional, very English, very professional, very English, very serious also, very seriously. Those people who by profession are a poet or the editor, they tend to get some sort of earnest, the serious imposition there, okay, on their face. Course, very serious and of course very unknown to all of us there. Humor, satire, sarcasm is there. Okay, he was a tall man, okay, and indeed very English there, and this is also a bare fact that he was quite unknown to us. We never heard anything about him, we have never read anything of him there, we haven't seen him ever. Okay, the person who came, editor, come poet, was an unknown figure for all of us. It refers to all the Gemini studio members, staff members, or the community or the family. Battling with half a dozen pedestal fan on the shooting stage. Now the guest was coming to a shooting stage where he will be given a warm welcome, a reception there. Summertime it was, therefore pedestal fans were there, okay, on the ground, and among those pedestal fans he made his way towards the shooting stage so that he can be given first of all some sort of a warm welcome, okay, and some sort of great reception there. So struggling through the half of the dozen, almost 6 to 7 pedestal fans were there. Summertime it was there, so battling, going through those pedestal fan, he was making his way towards, obviously with SS Vasan, towards the shooting stage there. The boss, obviously SS Vasan, read. Obviously, whenever a guest comes now, generally we are supposed to read some sort of welcome speech to honor, okay, to commemorate our new guest or the chief guest there. So a welcome speech was read by SS Vasan in the honor to commemorate Mr. New Guest. Out a long speech, and the speech was a bit narrative, bit subject, a bit long one there. It was obvious that he too knew precious little about the poet for the editor, and even SS Vasan, okay, might have invited that poet come editor to his Gemini studio, but he himself knew nothing almost about the guest there. Therefore, his long narrative speech, okay, was very much monotonous and very much isolated there, and that reflected. That revealed, okay, a fact that even SS Vasan didn't have any idea who the person came to Gemini studio. It was obvious about the poet, the editor, and the speech was in the most general terms, but here and there it was peppered, it was spiced with it. Now the welcome speech is being read by SS Vasan in the honor, in the commemoration of the guest, the person who came from England. He was a poet, he was an editor also, but his knowledge, who the person was, even our boss SS Vasan didn't have much idea there. So his long speech was spiced with, mixed up with, interluded with, intertwined with, made up of words like freedom and democracy. So here and there, SS Vasan in his welcome speech used the word freedom and democracy. Common people of Gemini studio could understand these 2-3 words only. Rest of them, okay, was going above their head. Whatever he spoke about our new guest there, and then it was peppered with then the poet spoke. Then the turn came, the guest, come poet, come editor. And he couldn't have addressed more days, more doze, more sleepy, more drowsy, and silent audience there. And even not the poet, even the audience, not only the audience, but the editor, the guest who came, was absolutely stunned, absolutely shocked there. Okay, why silent audience? No one knew what he was talking about. His accent defeated any attempt to understand what he was saying there. Few of the people of Gemini understood the language English. It is not so that it was not was comprehended by them, any of them. But you see, the manner the guest spoke, okay, his accent, his pronunciation, his modulation, his articulation, okay, was so professional, was so English, okay, that the common masses, the common staff members of Gemini studio could not find any head and tail of his speech there. First of all, he was speaking in very much English there, and upon that, the subject, okay, on which he may be speaking, obviously the Gemini studio members have got no idea what he was speaking on and what was the meaning of it. First of all, he spoke in a very English manner, very professional. His accent was truly an Englishman, was of an Englishman, and therefore, okay, all the people who might have tried once to understand a bit here, there a thing, could not understand anything out of his speech there. No one knew what he was talking about, and his accent, his pronunciation defeated any attempt to understand what he was saying. The whole thing, his speech, the speech of the guest lasted, okay, about an hour, almost 60 minutes time he devoted to his speech. Then the poet left, and we all dispersed, scattered in utter bafflement, in absolute confusion. Bafflement in absolutely confusing state they were all in. They were in dilemma, obviously. They were in a fix. Oh my God, who the person came. Oh my God, what he spoke on, what he spoke about. We could not understand anything out of it there. We could not find any head and tail out of it there. Who the person came. We are the common people. Gemini Studio, common people of Gemini Studio, or the staff members of Gemini Studio, they were thinking that what the hell they were doing there. Because the person who came, okay, he was an extremely irrelevant, okay, person for them there. They were the people at Gemini Studio making some ordinary movies for the ordinary people. A person from England, an editor, a poet, thorough English, professional English, very English, okay, they could not understand anything, whatever he spoke. Dispersed in utter confusion, what are we doing? They were thinking what the hell they were doing there. Okay, what is an English poet doing in a film studio which makes Tamil films for the simplest sort of people? The same thing I explained there. People at Gemini Studio, audience of Gemini Studio were thinking that what the hell that man was doing. They were the common people making movies for the commoners there. They could not correlate themselves to such an intellectual, to such a scholar, such a poet, such an editor there. And a film studio which makes Tamil movies for the simplest sort of people whose lives least afforded them the possibility of cultivating a taste for English poetry. Oh my God, those people, meaning of last time, those people who hardly were able to find their 2 meals there. Okay, suddenly they were asked to listen a complicated speech of an unknown poet, unknown person there. Okay, my God, they were confused. They were confused highly there. The poet looked possibility of cultivating a taste for English there. One more time, people whose lives least afforded them. People who were so poor, who's even deprived of the basic stuff there. They were the common people. They were asked by S.S. Vasan to inculcate a new taste, a new interest, okay, for English poetry. That was too many for us there. It was next to impossible for the common man, for the commoners of Gemini Studio to create interest for English poetry. Next to impossible there. They could not afford even the basic thing in their life. How they can afford to create interest for English poetry? This is the meaning of last line. You must have felt the poet looked pretty baffled too. It was not the case that only the audience were baffled. Even the poet too, was highly confused that the place, he had come. He himself thought, oh my God, where I had come there. Okay, these people are not suitable for me there. It is a wrong choice. Okay, altogether for me. Even the poet also was in utter state of confusion, utter state of bafflement. He too was baffled to English poetry. He too must have felt the sheer incongruity of his talk about the thrills and travels of an English poet there. Underline the incongruity, irrelevance. Incongruity, irrelevance there. Thrills and travels there. First of all, write the meaning of travels. Travels, the diligence, the hard work, which is put by a poet while writing his literary constructive things there. So whatever components, whatever hard work put by a poet while writing his literary things, that is called thrills and travels there. Thrills and the travels is a phrase used to denote the extreme labor, extreme efforts put by, extreme devotion put by a person for writing a literary thing. It can be a poem, it can be a prose, it can be a drama, any literary things there. So the poet too was baffled that the amount of things, the things which he delivered in his speech, obviously all were based on literature, and how those stuff, those component of literature can be understood by these common people there. So he taught, he used some part of his experience while writing poetry, while writing prose in his speech, how those common people of Geministry could understand the thrills and the travels, used, spoken, talked over by that person in his speech there. Obviously they had got no idea about it. Pursuit of travels of an English poet, his visit remained an unexplained mystery. Underline it. The very visit of the editor come poet proved to be an unexplained mystery. Nobody in Geministry could explain the motive, the purpose of his arrival, why that person came. Geministry was famous for making movies for the simple commoners of Tamil Nadu or the all South Indian people there. And what was the role, what was the purpose, what the hell an English poet was doing at that particular place. It was an irrelevant thing altogether, even for the poet who came or for the Geministry people also. They could not connect themselves to the poet. Neither the poet could connect, could correlate himself to these silent crowd there. They could not understand anything whatever he spoke, or even he could not address such a silent crowd before in his entire life there. So the journey of Mr. Editor and the poet from England proved to be an unexplained mystery there. It was all confusion, all bafflement all the way through there. Let me tell you who the person came. The person who came, the poet and the editor who came from England, was Stephen Spender. Who wrote An Elementary Classroom in Islam. The second poem of our Flamingo textbook. That was the person who came. The great prose writers of the world may not admit, but my conviction grows stronger day after day that the prose writing is not and cannot be the true hobby of a genius there. Now Ashok Mitran is making his own self-convinced statement to all readers, to all the scholars, to all intellectuals that prose, tough line, I want your all attention please. Prose writing obviously prose is a part of literature. To write anything, prose maybe a story, a fiction stuff there, may be done by a highly intellectual person, highly scholastic person. But according to Ashok Mitran, prose writing cannot be or should not be the true hobby or the true pursuit of a person who is a genius. It means a genius person should not write prose first thing. It means what? He should write more complicated thing. A genius, if someone, he should not write. He should not waste his time in writing prose. It is the meaning of that. Or if someone is genius, his hobby is, he cannot have a pursuit for prose writing. Prose writing is a thing suitable, tailor-made, congenial for the simple-minded people. It can't be a pursuit of a true genius there. If somebody is genius, he should write other part of literature, maybe a drama, maybe a play, maybe a poem. But prose writing should not be, cannot be a pursuit of a true genius there. Genius, it is for the passion. Then what type of people should follow, should be pursuing this hobby called prose writing? Please underline those things. It is for the passion. These are the requisite qualities of a person who wants to be a prose writer. That person must be persistent, must be patient, and it is for the passion, first of all passion, who has got an infinite passions there. Second one is there, persistent, who keeps writing. Persistent, the quality, the person who keep doing that thing, particular anything it can be, till he reaches to the ultimate goal, till he reaches to the end of it there. He keeps his effort on and on, persistent. And perseverance, the person who keeps his action or the efforts on till he gets success there. So this is called the part of a prose writer. Persistent he must be, patient he must be, perseverant he must be, and does with a heart, does an extreme hard work, does extreme hard work. Why? A person must be hard working if somebody wishes to become a prose writer. In the coming line it will be mentioned there. Does an extreme labor, great hard work, great diligence there. A person can be diligent, hard worker. So hard worker he should be, patient he must be, persistent he must be, perseverant he must be. Heart so shrunken that nothing can break it. And the person must be insult proof. Meaning of last line, the person who wishes to become a prose writer must have got the heart very small, shrunken heart he must got. Anything, any insult, so that it cannot break his heart there. It means the person must be insult proof, because insults, humiliation will be a lot, will be many, will be lot, okay, of that person there. How? A prose writer will be insulted openly there many of the time in the coming line. But meaning of last line is that the person who wishes to become a prose writer must have a shrunken heart, a small heart, so that it cannot be broken when there comes an insult for him. Another copy of nothing to him, he can. And rejection slips don't mean anything, a thing to him. Rejection. You see, if you want to become a prose writer, you have taken down a story, you have taken down a prose, then you wish to publish it, or by a particular publication there. So when you will be going there to get it published, the owner of that publication would be asking, oh, okay, give your manuscript, your handwritten story, let us see whether it was worth publishing or not in our publication. Oh, no, this is stupid. Oh, get lost. So, person will be rejected, will be discarded many a time. But rejection is nothing for that person. It means if once your story or your prose has been rejected, it doesn't matter, no problem. Better luck next time. Better luck next time. It means what? You must have a shrunken heart. Otherwise, you will be rejected, you will be discarded, your story will be discarded many a time by various publications. They would not prefer to publicize it there, publish it there in their famous magazine or the publication, because they want money. They want minting money is the ultimate goal of those big publications. Or if your prose is not worth appreciating, okay, they have got any doubt about its popularity or the name and fame, okay, or if they think that it will be a flop all the way through, they would not risk it, and they will reject on your face there. So your heart must be a shrunken one, so that rejection will not be mattering for you. Enough for today, dear. Thank you.